Hello my pigment nerds, how are you today? In today's episode we are going to be looking at the burnt Bronzite Genuine. Now I know many of us were quite disappointed with the Bronzite, so I'm looking forward to seeing if the burnt Bronzite do much better. Daniel Smith writes about burnt Bronzite as gorgeous burnt Bronzite Genuine pushes the honey tone of Bronzite Genuine to a more coppery hue. Both deeper brown and more orange, it's ideal for portrait works as it easily produces a wide range of flesh tones. Like Bronzite Genuine, it gets a subtle luster sparkle from iron oxide. It is classified as a Series 3 color, excellent in light fastness, transparent, non-staining and granulating. I don't have too much experience with watercolor portraits. In fact, I have none. However, I had the understanding that people prefer to use a non-granulating colors rather than granulating colors. Now, please do correct me in the comments if I am wrong and that granulating colors are much better at doing portraits. The other thing is it says it gets a subtle lustrous sparkle from iron oxide. You'll see later on when I show you the swatches that it actually shows way more sparkle than the Bronzite did, and I'm not sure if subtle sparkle is the right word to describe the amount of sparkle that is in there. Welcome back. The burnt Bronzite is painted, and I have to say this is much more of what I expect from a Primatek Daniel Smith range than what I experienced with the Bronzite Genuine in the previous episode. That Bronzite Genuine was a little bit too pale, whereas this is much more punchy, it's way more saturated. Taking a look at the main swatch first, you get nice heavy amount of granulation happening, settling here and also here as well. It's a nice burnt sienna color with some sparkle. Let me show you the sparkle. So if you remember in the last episode with the Bronzite, it was quite hard to see any of the sparkle. And I'm really hoping with this one you can see the sparkle. Some sunlight would help, Edinburgh, please. But there's way more noticeable amount of sparkle. It's not that there are more sparkles in this compared to the Bronzite Genuine color because they're actually made from the same stone. However, because the background is darker, you notice the silvery sparkle a lot more. Taking a look at the hue, comparing to other Primatek range colors, I have to say, looking at this swatch, this middle bit is very similar to the Sedona Genuine. However, the Sedona Genuine isn't sparkly, so maybe if you like this color but you don't want the sparkle, which I totally understand a lot of people don't, then Sedona Genuine might be a good option if you like this kind of color. However, I also noticed that the Minnesota Pipestone is pretty similar in hue to the lighter part, so these two are pretty good matches if you want a alternative color that isn't as sparkly. Then taking a look at other colors from Daniel Smith, I think the Daniel Smith's burnt sienna is very close in hue to the mid-tone of the burnt Bronzite. The Lunar Earth is pretty close as well in hue and also in behavior, in that they both granulate quite nicely, whereas the burnt sienna doesn't granulate as much. Then looking at the Holbein colors, I think none of these colors are a close match, but if I had to pick one, I would say somewhere along between the Indian red and the imidazzolone brown. I don't think any of these colors will match. Yeah, the burnt umber is a little bit too brown. This is more reddish brown. Then looking at the sminky colors, I would say maybe, oh, there's few colors I think that matches. Because the burnt bronzite has a much wider variation of value, and also it kind of changes in warmth. This mid-tone is a lot more orangey than the more washed out paler colors. In terms of the mass tone, I think it's a good match with the mahogany brown, with maybe a little bit hint of red. But down here in the mid-tone, I think the maroon brown is a nice match. In terms of other papers, it was quite interesting in that the hot press, you could get the gradation quite well, but then there is some cauliflowering in the rough paper. That could completely be because I put too much water on here. I totally put my hand up to that, but it might be that you have to watch out a little bit more on the rough texture. It's a similar story on the hot press with the bronzer, in that you do get a more pronounced two-tone look on the hot press than any other paper. You do get a more muted area, and then you get also a more reddy area as well. In terms of opacity, you can totally see the sparkle. Maybe there is more sparkle, I don't know now. You can definitely see a lot of sparkle in there. So if you are into your sparkles and you want a burnt sienna type color, this is perfect. The color is classified as non-staining. I would say actually this is more low staining. This is definitely not back to white, but it is easy to lift almost to white. So to me, that's a low staining. In terms of glazing, because this is a granulating color, always harder to glaze, and it's relatively easy to lift. You do get this outline here when you glaze, in a way of drawing an outline with the wet paint and then trying to fill it in the middle, because by the time you come back to fill the middle, the paints under your outline have re-wet itself, and therefore it's going to get lifted. So I wouldn't recommend this color for glazing. However, what I would recommend this color for is the gauzing, because you get some beautiful strong effect with the gauzing. With the gauzing, you get this really strong contrast between the dark color and the more orangey background. However, it's not an icky kind of orange, it's a nice orange. It's a very warm brown color. I don't know if the sparkles gather on the gauze where the gauze has been, or if it's just more noticeable, but you definitely see the sparkle more, which actually creates a nice contrast. You get this dark background, and then you get all this sparkle showing up as well. What I found really interesting with the burnt bronzite is the salt test, because if you remember on the bronzite test, hang on, I'll get it for you. This is the bronzite salt, and this is the burnt bronzite. You get a lot more reaction out of the burnt bronzite than I ever got with the bronzite. It splits the color into this much more red burnt sienna type color, and then this, where the salt has been, has this almost subtly violety color. It's very, very beautiful in color. However, as an overall effect, I don't think it's a very pretty color. But yes, it does react to salt a lot more than the bronzite does. In terms of dropping the color into water, I don't think it made the prettiest of patterns. It's also not the ugliest one you're going to see in this series. So I would say, yeah, it's medium, it's fine. In terms of mixing with other colors, just as a reminder, these are the colors I mixed the burnt bronzite with. There you go, so you can see what colors I've mixed them with, and this is the result of that. And I have to say, it is a much better mixing color than the bronzite ever was, and part of that is because it just has a much stronger saturation, and therefore I can mix more colors in with it to make it a more equal part color mix. It's heavily granulating, and you really get to see that when you get to the cooler colors like the Viridian, the Phthalo Turquoise and the Phthalo Blue. You don't see it as much on the warmer colors just because the burnt bronzite is a warm color, so any granulation is not going to stand out as much as it does on the cooler colors. Any color that's a red iron oxide color do seem to make a good mixing color. So if you want a reddy brown color that mixes well with other colors and it granulates, then the burnt bronzite might be an ideal choice for you. So that was the burnt bronzite genuine from Daniel Smith. What do you think of this color? I personally think that this does make a much better color than the bronzite. It's far more useful in that it mixes well with other colors, it reacts to things quite nicely. It's just a much more practical choice for your palette if you are looking for something sparkly and a little bit brown. It is, however, packed with sparkles, so if you are not into your sparkles, then yeah, this isn't going to be one for you. However, I think if you are painting like a dark red rock and you want to show that it's wet with some sparkles, this I think would be a great color for you. Would I put this on my palette? Well, I struggle with to know what to do with sparkly paint. So for now, I think it will stay off my palette. However, if I figure out what I want to use sparkly paints for, then I think this would be definitely chosen over the bronzite because this is a much more versatile color than the bronzite ever will be. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions about this color, then do let me know in the comments down below. I will also put a high-res scan of this and every other sheet that I create for this series, as always, over on my Patreon page, which is patreon.com/Oto Kano. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!